The people of Owo Kingdom in Ondo State may forever live in possible denial over the reality of that heartless carnage on St. Francis Catholic Church that left dozens dead. Nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared those innocent worshippers for that attack and brutal murder on Sunday, June the 5th. On this episode of Special Report, we relive that tragic milestone on the state of our national security and the outrage that followed. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.
Situated in southwestern Nigeria, our town in Ondo State traces its origin back to the ancient city of Ile-Ife, the cradle of the Yoruba culture, and is also home to the incumbent governor Rotimi Akeredolu. Unfortunately, things took a dramatic turn on Sunday, June the 5th, in the once peaceful town, when gunmen suspected to be terrorists invaded St. Francis Catholic Church at the headquarters of our local government area. The carnage on worshippers on Owaloa Street, some distance from the palace of Olowo of Owo, left dozens dead and several others injured. Some of the early callers at the scene is Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who had to abandon the national assignment of his party in Abuja to empathize with his people.
From information from the security agencies, these are the most dastardly act that can ever happen in any society. That it happened in a church, to say the least, is most condemnable.
There was anger, outrage, and frustration, especially among the young people. The Vice President, Professor Yomi Oshibajo, also paid a condolence visit to Owo to commiserate with the government and the people of the state over the attack.
The evil is almost unspeakable. It is a horrible thing indeed, that people would gather on a Sunday morning for worship and then be confronted by this sort of heinous and barbaric murder. I think it's just terrible. And I'm here, of course, as you know, on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as well as the government, and to express our sincere condolence first to the church and then to the people of this community, and to the people of Ondo State. This is a horrible tragedy. I do not think that anyone would wish this on even their worst adversaries or their worst enemies. But it's also a time for us to reflect, deeply on, the questions of our relationships with each other. I think that one of the things that's happened here, first we see how the community has come together and how people from everywhere around the country have condemned this abominable act. Everyone, north, south, everybody has condemned this, and this is it's a sore in the hearts of every Nigerian.
And the sympathizers kept pouring into the peaceful town to commiserate with the governor and the people of Ondo State. From the national leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aregbesola, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Christian Association of Nigeria Owo chapter led by Reverend Dr. Joshua Ladapo, to the Muslim community in Owo led by Sheikh Ahmed Aladashawe, the list kept growing.
We, as a supporter and promoter of the government, we will do everything to support the apprehension of those who perpetrated this heinous crime. May God Almighty give the peace to you, to the people of Owo, and to the families of those who are directly affected. It is very hard to take, very, very hard, but only God Almighty can console. They have taken the life they didn't create. vengeance is that of God Almighty. But the security situation in the country has to be enhanced, and we have to do everything possible to apprehend those who are involved.
The victims of the attack were attended to at an emergency unit of the FMC Owo and other facilities around Ondo State. These are some of the injured persons. Many of them are on their hospital beds in agony and pain, distraught by the daylight horror. The medical doctors here say the survivors have suffered several degrees of injury.
39 of them were brought as victims. Out of 39, we had 26 adults and 13 children. So out of that 26 adults, 6 of them were brought in dead, while the children, 2 of them were brought in dead. But all of them that they brought alive, we mobilized our people, and everybody was up and doing. And at the end of the day, we were able to save all those ones that were brought.
I was in the church, so immediately the father is giving the last blessing. We heard a gunshot. They started shooting indiscriminately. So everybody began to hide for his or her life. So I hid under the desk. Unfortunately, the blade reached my leg.
I was lying under the pews there, but this leg was outside. So they finally knew what was happening. I had a blade hitting the leg. The people around me, all of them died.
I say, thank God, I'm alive today. I'm in the land of the living. It's only a question of time. Hence, it will stop.
The Ondo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, condemned the attack in the strongest terms and also commiserated with the families that lost loved ones. In his words, you can count on our prayers, support and cooperation as we wade through this tough time together, as we take steps to ensure that the perpetrators of this dastardly act are apprehended and that this cowardly act of horror is never perpetrated in our land ever again. His Oyo State counterpart Seyi Makinde described the attack as barbaric and condemnable. A statement by the governor's spokesman reads in part, "This unprovoked and barbaric attack is condemnable in its entirety. I urge the security agencies to ensure that the perpetrators are found and brought to book." Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State said it was disheartening that the ugly incident took place in the house of God on Pentecost Sunday, a day Christians cherish so much on account of the visitation of the Holy Spirit on Christians. Governor Uzodinma commiserated with the leadership of the Catholic Church in Owo, the government and people of Ondo State, as well as the families of the victims, and urged all to work in partnership to fish out the perpetrators of the dastardly act so that they will face justice. The All Progressives Grand Alliance APGA on his part wondered why any right-thinking persons should embark on such heinous and inhuman acts against innocent worshippers. The party said they are unhappy over the unfortunate development and charged security agencies to unmask those behind the attack and deal decisively with them to serve as a deterrent to those planning to polarize the country through hate, ethno-religious crisis and division. A statement by the party reads in part, "This kind of unprovoked attacks should not be allowed to recur, as any reoccurrence would have weighty consequences on the fragile peace and unity of our nation." Similar words are echoed by the minority caucus in the House of Representatives, which condemned in strong terms the gruesome killing of innocent worshippers at the church. The caucus says it is deeply pained that innocent Nigerians have continued to be massacred by terrorists because of the incompetence and manifest lack of capacity by the All Progressives Congress administration to confront terrorism and secure the nation. And from the traditional institutions, the Oni of Ife has condemned the attack, describing it as a gruesome massacre dastardly targeted at turning Yoruba land to a war zone, saying Yoruba people have the capacity to defend themselves even though they are peace-loving. The Oni, who is the co-chairman of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria, explained that there have been reports that some criminals are currently working to invade and wreak havoc in Yoruba land, just like the one that happened in Owo. A statement from the Monarch's Palace reads in part, "When calamities like this befall us without a single trace, the interpretation is that the intelligence unit of our country's security architecture is probably faulty or completely missing." The statement adds, The 6 governors across the Southwest region and their brothers nationwide, as well as President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government, should live up to their oaths of securing Nigerians and ensuring safety for the citizens. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Medical Association appealed to Nigerians in the area to kindly go to the hospitals where the injured are being treated to donate blood to save lives. The association says the recurrent shedding of innocent blood in the country has been going on far too long, and is the position of the Nigerian Medical Association that explanations, condemnations, and reassurances are no longer comforting. The traditional ruler of the town, the Olowo of Owo, who has been receiving condolence visits from top dignitaries, is worried that his town has been picked as a pilot for alleged planned aggression against the Southwest.
We've been hearing about it that the terrorists have decided to come to the southern part of Nigeria, especially to Yoruba land, and I think it's just the beginning. It has just started, and maybe they've informed us that that we are not safe, and that you know what has been transpiring in terms of security, the requests for our people that this should be named in the board. Immediately it happened. The youths, they came here to the palace in droves. Some of them wanted to be attacking some of the northern settlers there, the Hausas, but I was able to calm them down, that these are the innocent people, that they should not suffer because of the sin of some others. But I thank God that I think I was able to manage the situation, because I have a very good relationship with my people, and whatever I tell them, they always agree with me. I made them to understand that we should not create another crisis.
It says it's time for the federal government to rejig the security apparatus in the country and ensure that true federalism works.
The federal government must live up to expectation to face this security challenge head on, and to be very proactive. If urgent and required action had been taken to handle what the challenges Nigeria had been facing, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, we wouldn't experience this. Oftentimes, I receive visitors there, security experts, military men that are undergoing trainings, and those who, especially those who are in the War College. I've pointed it out to them repeatedly that our forests have been invaded by foreigners. We have different type of cells across the forest reserves around us in Owoya. Not only in Owoya, across Ondo State, and even across Yoruba land. Those who don't have the right to be there, they are there. So it behoves on government to be very proactive in that direction, to ensure that the legal settlers are flushed out.
Another set of condolence and prayers is coming from this group. They are members of the Igbo community who are still grieving and unhappy over the incident. They proceed to a small hall inside the affected church for a stakeholders meeting after closing their businesses for the day to reflect on the prevailing situation.
This church is in the heart of the town, and those boys, they operate for the church over 45 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, they were shooting radically on the air. Nobody confront them, and the police station is at the back of the church. Igbo community, we are the peaceful community. We don't revenge, but we are pleading for the whole world to see what is happening to us.
More people still troop to the church to show their solidarity and express their condolences.
Whatever happens, we are going to thank God. But my prayer is that whosoever enter into this church, do this evil, wherever they are, God will arrest them.
2 days after the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in the ancient kingdom of Owo in Ondo State, the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Southwest Zone, Mr. Babatunde Kokomo, appealed to residents of the town to remain calm as he assures residents that everything will be done within the ambit of the law to bring the perpetrators of the attack to justice.
The police has been doing its level best and will continue to do our level best, considering the information available to us, and of course with the resources that we also have at our disposal to work with. If we have had information ahead of time, proactive measures will have been taken. Nobody will have had information about this. So that is why we keep on saying, when you hear something, you endeavor to say something. The IGP had ordered the deployment of personnel from all sections, from all sectors of the Nigerian Police Force. We have officers and men from the EOD. We have officers and men from the PMF. We have officers and men from the investigative arm of the force. We have officers and men from forensics. So we are assuring the people that they should, of course, not be deterred.
However, emotions are also running at homes of those who lost their loved ones to this evil act. Many families went to that service as a complete fold, but returned incomplete, without parent or destabilized. During a statewide broadcast following the unfortunate incident, Governor Keredolu directed that the state flag should be flown at half-mast, noting that the total number of people involved was 80. The death toll was then 22, and 56 persons at the time were on admission, while 2 were discharged. On its part, the federal government says the Islamic State of West Africa are responsible for the attack.
The animals in ISWAP wanting attention and recognition are suspected to have launched that attack, and we have directed all the agencies concerned to go after them.
The ripple effect of this heinous act, and as well as the understandably angry reaction across the state, could not have been different. To me, this is an attempt to test the will of the people of the state, and indeed the Southwest. It unequivocally has the brazenly possible consequence of invitation to national anarchy, because Yoruba land, and indeed Owo in particular, have never been conquered before, and it will never happen. I promise you that we shall commit every available resource to hunt down these mindless assailants and make them pay dearly. We shall never bow to the machinations of heartless elements in our resolve to rid our state of criminals. I therefore urge our people to be calm, but remain vigilant. Do not take the law into your own hands. Leave the rest to the government to shoulder. I have spoken to the heads of security agencies, and I can assure you that the security operatives have been deployed to monitor and restore normalcy to our kingdom.
Democracy Day is also suspended in Ondo State in honor of the people that died at St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo.
In America, each time a deranged gunman goes to a school and shoots and kills many school children and teachers, there will be outpourings of condemnation and grief and sympathy. But nothing happens beyond that. We are beginning to behave like that. Each time some lunatics go into a community, into a church, or into a market to kill people, we condemn them, we use very strong language, nothing happens.
on this particular occasion, I want to say what I've been saying for 20, 25 years or more, that unless we restructure Nigeria, this country will remain unviable. Specifically, the least I expect us to do now, before the election, I repeat, before the election, is for every state and local government that can afford it to set up their own police forces immediately. You don't need any constitutional amendment to have state police, because any organization called government, whether federal, state, or local, has two intrinsic powers. One, the power to make law, regulations, or bylaws, that's one. And two, the power to enforce those laws, regulations, or bylaws through their own police forces. So government has the power to make laws and enforce them. Those two are inseparable. From the beginning of formal governance, from the times of the Romans and Aristotle. And in our country, during the colonial period, that was the case. There were 3 police forces that I knew when I was a child in this town. The Nigerian Police Force, the Western Regional Police, headed by Baba Omitowoju, and Akure Constabulary. Every town in Yoruba land, the Western region, had a constabulary or war. Ikare, Ibadan, Osogbo, Ogumosho, Ilesha. Every town, I repeat, had a police force of its own. Now they are saying there should be no police force. When local governments, native authorities that they were called, had police forces of their own. So we should immediately return to that situation.
The governor of Benue State, Mr. Samuel Atom, notes that these attacks are targeted at leaders and their people for standing against oppression.
I want to encourage my brother, the governor of Ondo State, to be firm and be strong and be stable and ensure that we fight. If we don't fight, this is how these people will overrun us. They say they are all over the country and they are ready to take this country to become their own. And all the monies they are kidnapping people and collecting, they say they are using it to acquire more arms. So Nigerians must rise up. We must speak. People should not be afraid to say the truth. If we keep quiet, we're all going to be consumed. Thank God some of us have said it. But if we continue to keep quiet in this manner, all of us are going to be consumed. Let us use the instruments we have, whether from the media, politicians, everybody should rise up to this evil in the name of taking over our country and turning it into their own. Even in their last statement, and say that those people who have decided not to allow them do open grazing and have their way in any community or land, that those people will not find peace. And until they decide to appreciate their way of life and their nature. So it has been very clear. And for some of us who have decided to fight for equity, fairness, and justice and respect the rule of law and the constitution of our country, they have decided to put us as target. They were short of calling my name and calling the name of the governor of Ondo State. Me, because I championed the prohibition of open grazing. And this is a global best practice that is respected everywhere. There are countries with more herds of cattle, but they ranch. And so we're not doing anything outside the laws of our land.
The truth is, this is one too many. And the general feeling is that condolence messages are no longer enough. Government needs to act, and act fast, to safeguard this country.
Well, our thoughts and our prayers with the affected families. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.